welcome to Fortune's Hiding Down Under TV. I'm Dave Rhodes, and I'm here with co-host Nathan tonight. How are you, Nath?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Dave. How about yourself?
Great, mate. When we got a win under our belt, everything seems nice and rosy to me.
Sure does. It's been a good week, hasn't it? So far, anyway. Well,
seems to have been a long time coming, hasn't it? It's been a drag of 7 weeks since start of the year, and we've been waiting for a positive result, and finally it's come.
Yeah, it was good to watch. It definitely, like we said the other night, definitely wasn't what I was expecting, but very, very happy it went the way it did. So, yeah.
Yeah. So look, I know you had a bit of a post game show the other night, but look, I guess my 2 pennies worth. We all kind of predicted a draw, didn't we? And probably under our breath, we were probably a little bit sort of hopeful, given we've had 5 defeats to them already since they came up.
And the fact that we can't fucking score.
Exactly. So look, to come away with a win, and we just came out of the blocks emphatically, didn't we?
Yeah, it sort of had shades of the Arsenal game, didn't it? That we came out in the cup round, just we were fucking at it, and it felt like the game was over before, within the first 10 or 15 minutes for me. It was good to watch.
Well, I mean, we came out of the blocks 2-0 up. You're like, excellent, we've got this, and then now the Zuma has to put the old willies back into us and storming up the pitch and giving the ball away, and who else but bloody Neil Maupay comes along and does what he likes to do against us, along with bloody Glenn Murray and Kevin Davis and all those other wankers that are shit but like to score against West Ham. And the nerves creep in, and second half, we put a couple more goals away, and that bloody peach from Emerson and Bowen hat-trick. Yeah, you couldn't ask for more, could you?
No, absolutely not. They were great to watch, and I guess even players like Souček, who's been fucking stinking it up, he actually was like, his contributions were so good. I mean, so he could have had a couple himself within the first few minutes as well, right?
They all came out the traps like possessed, didn't they? Souček as well. He was surging forward. Look, he's not got the best of touch. We've given him grief over the course of the season. But he was up for it, wasn't he?
Got better touches than he has, mate.
Well, Jeez, we're into dodgy territory already, and we've only been on here 3 minutes, and we're talking about rapists. Risque.
Very true.
But 4-1 up and cruising, and then we'd start to let them back in it again, and give us just to give us the willies. It's the West Ham way, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But look, we got there in the end, which is great, and we move on to the Blue Granny Stabbers for this weekend as well. So, and just to address a few things there for us, lads. Kingy is in the air, Alan, as you're suggesting here. He left.
I think we both put up at the same.
He left early on this afternoon, probably just as you guys were waking up over there in the UK. He's had a few brewskis, and I think he said he's about half an hour away from Singapore. So first leg is nearly done for him. And our other co-host, Matt, Lord Lucan, is out on the piss with his workmates and decided that they're more enjoyable than talking football. So, fuck him.
Poor excuse, isn't it?
It's fucking terrible. Yeah. Absolutely terrible. I mean, he could have said he was at a fucking quiz show or something like that, like Kingy was the other week. But
he's had a run of 2 or 3 shows now. Is it 2?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
So it was 3rd time out. So
he was due for a substitute, wasn't he?
That's it. No, I can't talk. I wasn't around the other night. I couldn't make it. But there's a good thing about having the 4 of us. There's always at least 2 of us to step in.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess what are you what are your thoughts on the game for Everton, mate?
Everton's a funny one, isn't it? I mean, they turned us over at home. They're not particularly good. They're just one of those sides that, they're not easy to beat for us, are they? Over the years,
No, they're not. But I mean, I was looking at some of their results, like back till sort of Christmas, New Year's time. Like they've drawn to Brighton, Palace. They lost to City away. They drew with Spurs, drew with Fulham, drew with Villa, and then they lost to Wolves away on New Year's Eve. So um, they haven't really been finding a lot of goals themselves either. So, and their goal on the weekend against Brighton was a decent one, but it came from a stoppage like in the 70th minute, and then they conceded in the 95th. So, some of the shots that Brighton had earlier, they were very, very shaky at the back. So, I don't know. Last time we played them, we only lost 1-0, and we had 63% of the ball. But I was looking back at it at the time. Emerson was out. And so we had Cresswell on that left-hand side, and JWP and Alvarez were in those holding roles. So I don't think it's going to be the same lineup. But I don't know, what are your thoughts? Like, would you make any changes from our game to the next one?
No, I wouldn't, mate. I hope he's not tempted to put Phillips in, because Phillips' ban will be up. It seems to be a bit of a. It's just not gone well for him, has it? Let's be honest. And I think as much as we love to hate Souček with his dreadful touch, I thought he had a good game the other day. And I would be starting with the same lineup, to be quite honest.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Zuma though? Because we sort of debated it a fair bit, and he looks absolutely and utterly cooked. So, for someone, I don't know what your thoughts are on what Ogbonna's performances have been like since, like just over the course of the year. I know he hasn't played a lot, but I don't think he's done a lot wrong. I mean, what do you reckon?
Yeah, mate, that's actually a fair point. I hadn't thought about Zuma, and look, he has been having a shocker for some time. I mentioned it before when I said about the Neil Maupay's goal. We're cruising 2-0 up and looking to put some more in, maybe, and then his blunderbuss running up the field and does what he does. Mate, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Oggy, I think his last game was against Arsenal away, wasn't it, when we won 2-0?
That's right, yeah.
Him and Mavropanos were fantastic that day. And a special mention to Mavropanos, who was pretty fucking good the other night. He was,
yeah. And I think even for their second goal, we talked about it on Monday night, when Mavropanos went to the player with the ball, and that left Zuma in a one-on-one, and like he was fucked. As soon as that ball got through to him, like he's just not in that race. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I'd be more inclined to change him than that would probably be the only one that I would make, if any. I think the rest of them, they did enough to hold their spots, I would say.
Yeah, Oggy would probably be my pick, to be honest, to come in the left side of the centre halves. We're more balanced when we've got a left-sided player there. Zuma doesn't like being on the left side of the back, the two centre backs.
No, it's not natural for him, is it?
It's not natural for him at all. The way he's playing at the moment, I don't think anything's really natural when it comes to his feet. He's funny to watch, isn't he? He's almost tripping over his own legs at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, everything, it just looks like, I don't know, laborious is probably the only word that I can really sort of come up with there. Like every movement, it just looks like it's fucking hard work. So, I don't know. We've got a lot of football that's coming up in the next month. So, you'd want to make sure that every single player's on song for when they're called, and the only way you can do that is by giving you a bit of game time, right?
Yeah. Look, I mean, the fantastic thing the other day was having Paquetá back, and the results speak for themselves, right? We haven't won a game without him in the side, and it's no coincidence we've won something like 11 out of 17 with him in the side. So I didn't think he had like a massive impact in terms of his own play, but the effect he has on other players, right? I mean, Emerson's been sort of a shadow of himself lately, and he had the game of his life. And I think him and Paquetá link up very, very well. And obviously Paquetá was a little bit rusty. He had those couple of really good chances that sort of fell his way that he snapped at. One, he completely fucked out. The other one, he is a little bit better, but give it to him on a 5-game run, he might be volleying that one in the back of the net.
Yeah. It wasn't that far away, really, was it? And it was very early on in the game, I think, if my memory serves me correctly.
There was two of them very close together.
Yeah.
One of them just he just totally didn't connect with it well. The other one he hit it better, but didn't find the back of the net, obviously.
Yeah. I think, as Tony said, there, it's great to chat about a positive result. It's been a long time coming, and Bowen was brilliant, and as he said there, Paqueta was superb. We have missed him. I agree. He just got that aura about him, and it's a bit like I think Chris has made a comment here. It is like pay it back in the day, isn't it? He just draws attention and frees up other players, and
it's a fair
saw
point.
that. Yeah, you saw it a few times actually when Paqueta was going to the ball, and even Kudus to a lesser extent, they were always drawing two players to him to get them shut down. So that has to free someone else up. And I think the positive part about our game was the gambling was back. When those guys had the ball and they were running down the line, you could see Souček making those runs into the box. And that just creates an extra player in there, which creates confusion. And then all of a sudden, the chances were falling, weren't they?
Exactly right. And it's no coincidence Bowen's not really been hitting the net whilst Paqueta's been out either. So, it's given him a lift. And, his first ever hat-trick. It was just wonderful to see, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, it was. The two strikes were fucking unbelievable, and the header was great, but the two strikes were just they are just proper strikers' goals, weren't they? You almost saw Souček almost had sort of the same chance, really, didn't he? It was quick, and he just fucked it. Whereas Bowen had no time to think about it, but he just got it right, didn't he?
It's just the way he brought it down. He brought it down exactly where he wanted it. Smash, bang. Thanks very much. And a couple of similar goals, weren't they? Look, let's be honest. The header was a gift. He was left alone, and it was actually a really, really lovely ball from Kudus. I didn't think Kudus had his best game, but that cross was, and I think that's what sort of alluded. The way it came over, it had a real sort of deadly little curl onto it that was just inch perfect for him. And it was just left there unmarked. You'd be fuming if you're Thomas Frank, wouldn't you?
Oh, that for sure. Yeah, but if there's anyone, he's probably the smallest bloke in the box too, right?
Yeah, but he gets goals with his head. For a player that is only 5'9", he does get goals with his head.
Yeah, you can't leave him alone. That's for sure, right?
No.
Interesting question here from Wazim too, and thanks for the questions, guys. Keep them coming in. What do you think about our change of play style on Monday? Moyes or the players, or was it simply that Pac-Man was back in the squad?
Yeah, look, I think for me, you read in between the lines of what Moyes is saying, right? He was kind of miffed that we did sort of go defensive in the last 20 minutes of the game. I don't think he really wants us sitting back as much as we are. Sure, he's cautious, and sure, he does play deep and play the low block and a lot of minutes without the ball. But I think he wants to see us getting up there and pressing as well, right? Yeah. And that's what we were doing from the off. We came out of the blocks. We were so determined to get up there and put some pressure on them. And wow, it was 6 or 7 minutes and we're 2-0 up. That's just dream start.
Phenomenal, isn't it? Yeah, and not only 2-0 up, I think we probably would have had about 4 genuine chances in that time as well. So it definitely does make the difference. But I've heard a few people talking during the week, and I kind of tend to agree that Aguerd doesn't look like he talks much on the pitch. Zuma doesn't look like he talks much on the pitch, and then neither does Areola. So you can sort of see why that line continually creeps back. If people aren't communicating with each other, and as much as it frustrates some people to say, that's what Rice did. He would notice how far people were behind him, and he'd be the one dragging them up, right, and just making sure that people in front of him were organised and people at the back were. So, that Ogbonna can do that for us as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We've said this a few times, right? Why on earth you've got 3 players there that all speak bloody French as their first language? Do they have communication issues? You'd be thinking they'd be right on song, and the chemistry would be there, but you're right, they don't talk, do they?
No, No, I mean it's just in some people's nature. I mean, I'm sure you've played games in the past as well. It doesn't matter what level. You've got people who talk and people who listen. And
Yeah,
you would just don't have that mix right between when those three are there. It doesn't seem like there's anyone that's really communicating at all, right?
yeah. Mate, I've got it. My two kids are chalk and cheese. My son never shuts the fuck up on the pitch, and and my daughter's I'm trying to encourage her to be a little bit more vocal. She makes a lot of smart runs, but doesn't get the ball so often because she's not yelling for it. Like you say, it's at all levels. You get different players, but you're talking about a captain, right? A France international captain at that, like he's been in the French national side. And if you're not vocal and you're the bloody captain, we've probably chosen the wrong captain, haven't we?
Yeah.
I seen this the other day, actually. I'd quite like to see Sue Fowler's captain. What are your thoughts on that? Yeah.
To be honest with you, I would say no, but only because I don't think he's got that much longer left in him. I would be very surprised if he wasn't transferred out in the next 18 months total. And I'd like to see someone that's going to be there for the next sort of 2 to 3 years. I mean, we're never going to have another Mark Noble again, that's for sure. And, I think Declan was the right choice, regardless of him going when he did. But we need someone who's going to be there for at least 2 or 3 seasons at a very minimum, I think. So for me, I reckon that's probably going to be someone, Alvarez maybe. I don't know how old he is, if he's 26 or 27, but I think we'd get at least 3 years out of him. I wouldn't be looking at selling him, that's for fucking sure. So,
you know what though, Noble had to wait his chance to be captain. He wasn't captain the whole time. He was understudy to Nolan. It wasn't until Nolan sort of hung up his boots that Noble stepped into that role, and he always had those leadership qualities, right? Declan Rice kind of had it thrust upon him at a very young age because there was no. He was a natural successor, right? So and I think he'll captain England one day, right? Probably not in a not too distant future. In terms of do we have that long-term player at the club at the minute? I don't know. I'm looking at our team and I'm wondering, how many of them will even be around in 3 years' time? Do you know what I mean? So look, it might be that we need a stopgap until we can find that long-term captain, and Alvarez possibly might be it, but I don't know. I don't know how long Alvarez will be around, but another player that played very well the other night, Alvarez.
Yeah, he did, and I think it goes to show, like sometimes, and I hope we set up that way against Everton. I don't think we need two holding mids. Like he can do enough there in that role, which should allow James Ward-Prowse and Souček he'll naturally drop and he'll naturally make runs and things like that. We don't need 2 players sitting back. So if you've got that and a back 4, that's way too many people that are just sitting there waiting for something to come, especially for a team that, like last time we played them, we had 63% of the ball. So, if they're going to give us the ball, we need to treat them accordingly. And it was written here, who was it? Sorry, I just missed the call here. It was Alan here saying, if we play like that and we do have a higher line, he would play Mav and Aged because they both have pace and they can both get back and won't be watching out for Zuma. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, that's a fair point, right? What Aged is good. He's quite good in the foot race and winning that last tackle, isn't he? I guess that's what Alan's alluding to here. So look, that's a fair call. I don't think going away to Everton, we're going to be trying to keep the ball. To be honest, I don't think going away anywhere we're going to be trying to keep the ball. Maybe it's not the right game for it. For me, as we alluded to earlier, I think Oggie's probably the better option at the moment for me. Because I don't think we'll be playing with the ball this weekend. Maybe next home game that's an option.
Yeah, possibly, and you do raise a fair point. Like maybe. Maybe that might happen. I mean, Kent Hammers has just joined us. It's been a while. So how are you, Kent? Thanks for joining. What do you think about that? He's saying, I think if you play Zuma, you've got to play a back 3. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a bit tragic, isn't it? If you've got to play 2 centre halves to cover his arse when he fucks up, I mean, you're better off not having him there, aren't you? I don't know. Fair point. Yeah, look, maybe there is that little bit of added security. Yeah, look, at the minute I'd be going with 2, and I'd be bringing Oggy in and dropping Zoom. I think this is all conjecture speak anyway, to be quite honest, because I don't think he's going to drop Zuma. As much as it seems like we're all on that page, I don't think it's going to happen. But I would put Ogburma in.
Yeah. No, I tend to agree. Everyone else, I think was good enough. Were you surprised at Antonio being dropped there?
I was, but I guess with Paquetá coming back, it made sense. I think we kind of pushed him back in the side, and he showed that in that game against Forest that he was obviously very rusty. I think he came in and did the right job. But having Pac back, obviously he was okay to start, and that was changing. And rightly so. Bowen got back in the middle, and that paid dividends for us. But you know what? I think Antonio's a really, really good sub to have at the minute. If you want someone to come off and actually have an impact, we haven't really had any impact subs for a while.
No.
And
it is his role. I think we've all talked about that, though, haven't we? Like if he can give us 20 solid minutes at the end of any game, like against a tired defender, they'll just be looking at us going, for fuck's sake, like, come on, really? So,
and I like the fact that he's using him not necessarily through the middle as well. I like the fact that he mixed it up against Forest and changed it around when it wasn't quite working, and I like the fact that he played him on the left side there late on in the game the other day. Yeah. So quick one there from Budgie saying even he always on a fag break, so he can't stop. And I'm tapping the like button, and so should everyone else. And good segue there. Thanks, Budgie. Appreciate the link. If you're sitting here watching tonight and you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel, please do. It helps us out, and turn your notifications on, because obviously we do this live show every week as well. So cool. And we got a comment here from Nikamang Sudi Ariani. I think I got that right.
Fucking nailed it, mate. The tuk-tuk driver. Down well.
The tuk-tuk driver reckons Kingy's going to see 3 wins on the trot. I think we'll all be happy with that. And maybe even Kingy will come home a Moist fan if that happens.
Oh, I don't know about that. And he's not here to defend himself, so it's a fair question to ask.
He's not.
You never know, mate. It could be the Aussie touch, because you saw a few wins when you were over there. You did see a fucking diabolical loss, though, but hopefully that one's been and gone. We don't have to fucking worry about that again. So,
4 wins and a hammering at Fulham, Look, Everton's always a tough one. In terms of prediction, are you thinking we'll go out and win that one?
I've got a funny feeling we will, So, maybe we've turned a corner. Like, I don't think. It's always been that way, hasn't it? Like when we do win, we tend to go on and win 1 or 2 more, but then
clusters.
Yeah. So I think we will. Like I think if we get that set up right, like if we go out the way we are this time, and it all depends on how confident Moyes is to push Souček forward, as well as James Ward-Prowse. Some of the parts of the game, Brighton, Everton, like I watched before, like when Brighton went at them, they were at 6s and 7s. So, and it just sort of, what's his name? Welbeck was getting into some great little pockets of space that sort of, Paqueta and Kudus can find themselves in. So, I think if we play that way, we'll rattle them. But they're at home. They're sort of probably a little bit more buoyant now. They got those extra 4 points back in the week as well. So it could be a bit of a dogged battle.
What effect do you think? What effect do you think that will have? Do you think it could go 2 ways, right? It may either that just buoys them up and gives them a little bit of wind in their sails, or it goes, well, okay, we're a little bit more comfortable now, so we can take our foot off the gas. It's hard to say how that will go. Look, I think. I had a comment up there before. I think you just took it off. But sort of Joe said Everton are defensively good, but we got to play on the front foot again. And you just alluded to it yourself, right? We've got to control the game. Don't necessarily have to have the ball. I don't think we will away from home, but I think we've got to press hard and put some real pressure on them. Because Kent Hammers here is saying that Everton's going to be a dogfight. And that's the thing. I think we probably won't have much more than 40 possession. We've got to chase that ball down from the off, though, as we did the other day. Pressing hard, and imposing ourselves on the game, and I think we will.
Yeah, I tell you what, this is quite a funny comment that Alan's made here. If we don't play with the ball, it'll be interesting because Everton manager by Dyche doesn't want to do that either, right? So you imagine that we go both on the centre line and both sides saying you can have it. It's very possible, right? But it would be interesting to watch.
Well, you know what? If they give us the ball early, and we come out of the traps like we did the other day, we might get that early goal and put them right on the ropes.
Yeah.
But if we do, we definitely will be playing without the ball from that moment onwards.
Yeah. I mean, you saw it late, didn't you? In the Brentford game, and it happened for parts in that first half as well. That we sort of like we almost get a little bit recluse, and then we go back into our shells a little bit. And I know you can't attack and press for fucking 90 minutes of a game. It's fucking hard work, and then especially when you're away at home and the crowd starts to get on your back or whatever, it's going to be difficult. But we've just got to make sure that we just don't drop too far back, because they've got players that can hurt us when they do get the ball. So looking before that, they've got really no injuries to speak of. Danjuma's out and Gomez, but that's it, right? The rest, so they've pretty much got a full complement of players to pick from. So. Yeah,
but I mean, they've not been setting the world alight, have they? Especially late.
No, they haven't. But I mean, like 0-0 to Fulham away, 0-0 to Villa. That's and only 2-0 to City away. Like they're very, very difficult to break down. So they're obviously quite organised when they get the chance.
They'll be resilient,
like you say. Yeah, you got to be at them, and then you've got to move the ball quickly. We can't just move the ball sideways and then wait for a pocket to open, because that's exactly what they want to do, so then they can get you on the break. So, Wazim said here, and this is a good sort of question, really, is if we continue with this positive attacking play style, how far do you think we can get in the league and in Europa?
Well, Europa for me is dependent on if and when we draw either Leverkusen or Liverpool, right? I think they're going to be really, really hard to beat.
Yeah,
for me.
Yeah.
Look, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, look, Freiburg, we've done them twice. I know that puts the pressure on a bit, but we know they're beatable. And I went to that home game against Freiburg, and actually, I thought they were disappointingly shit. They weren't as organised as Frankfurt were when we played them. So I don't know, but. That said, the pressure's on because we have beaten them. They've got nothing to lose. They might show a different side of their game. But aside from that, though, it's talking about how far we can go. Look, I think we can get past Freiburg. If we get a decent draw in the quarter-final, I reckon Rangers be a nice, tasty tie, something like that.
Oh, yeah. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
If Liverpool and Leverkusen can end up drawing each other, one of them knocks the other one out, all of a sudden it becomes a bit of a chance if you get into that semi-final, doesn't it? Same way as it did before we were there. But we blew that.
Yeah, we did. But I think, even like this round of 16, it's sort of like you've got all the stronger teams have somehow drawn a weaker team. So, and look, naturally everything gets harder as you go deeper into the competition. But if we could sneak a Rangers in the in what's the next round after that, the quarterfinals, I think that would be ideal for us. And like you say, like if Liverpool can get an AC Milan or or Leverkusen, like we just need a couple of things to fall our way, and hopefully one of them can beat each other up a little bit. And let's be real, like Liverpool at the moment, they've got a lot of injuries. They're playing a lot of kids. Like you'd think that sooner or later that's probably going to catch up with them a bit. We fucking hope it does anyway.
Yeah, look, that's probably the worst possible tie for me, is if we were to draw Liverpool at any stage. leading up to the final. They're not a team that, you'd have to be looking at going away first and jagging some kind of draw there. And then maybe you start to get a little bit plucky about spinning them at home. But Anfield's not a nice place for us to go, and it's not somewhere. Been, right? No, it's not. It's not a team that I really fancy us against over two legs. The scenario I just pulled out there is about our best hope if we did have to play against them. But the bloody draw seems to always favour them.
Oh, fuck. Could you imagine it like? Yeah, can you imagine them like? You can sort of see it a little bit with the. I mean, I don't trust anyone in UEFA, right? But like, if it falls that way, they'd just love to have that fucking replay of AC Milan and Liverpool in a final, wouldn't they? So just to drag up the old dirt, it could just wouldn't surprise me if it just happened that way, right? So.
Yeah, I'm no conspiracy theorist. I don't think people have got a little nick on the ball and they're feeling for it. I think that would be far too risky. But they just seem to be lucky bastards when it comes to cup draws, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Joe wrote a good comment here, and I tend to agree with it. I think on our day we can beat anyone, but it does depend on which West Ham do turn up, right?
Yeah, and you need over two legs, right? The best team normally wins. You got to say, right? Yeah. So you need a bit of luck. You need the right. You need that away game first, and you need, and we got the right setup to go up there and grind out a draw. And I don't think anyone could begrudge Moyes trying to do that with the idea of giving them a good turning over at home. But exactly right. On our day, we can beat anyone, and that's where I'd see us wanting to have our day at home if we could, do the business and grind something away. We're talking about this like it's already come out of the hat, though, mate. It's not.
True.
Let's get through Freiburg first, I guess.
Yeah. I'm confident that we will get through that. I am, and which is nice. Like you wouldn't want to be. I wouldn't want to be drawing a bigger team in the quarters, because I think one of the guys in the comments said earlier, the further you get, the further bit more money you get for it and all that sort of stuff. So I'd rather get knocked out in the quarters than in the round of 16. That's for sure.
Yeah, look, mate, there's a good chance we'll get through the semis again, like we did a couple of years ago. I think going beyond that is depends. Have we learned from our other experience about with regards to holding our nerve? We've got some bloody good players. We keep Paquetá, it's that triangle of Paquetá, Bowen, and Kudus, right? That's going to get us through games and make us an attacking force as opposed to looking like 11 labouring fucking defensive
11 defensive midfielders.
Exactly.
It's too true. I mean, I said it the other night and said, we talked about it. It's like, mate, as long as Cresswell is not anywhere near the fucking squad, I reckon we're going to be half a chance. I love the bloke. He's done some great things for us, but his time's definitely gone, and he should have been moved on in the summer, I think. So.
Oh, mate, look, Emerson's number one in that position, regardless, isn't he? So he'd have to be injured for Cresswell to get anywhere near there, and I think he'd probably be playing Johnson out of position before he gives Cresswell a start under his belt. So. Yeah, you'd have to think that one's not on the cards.
Yeah, anything's possible though with Moisey, isn't it?
So you're predicting a win for the weekend against Everton, mate? What are you going to go with? You're going to go with the score?
I reckon it's probably going to be like a 2-1, something nasty like that. I can see us, at least conceding one. We still haven't moved away from just like shocking moments. But I reckon we'll bag a couple, and if we go out and start the way we are, I reckon we'll get a couple early, and then they might nick one late. So 2-1 for me. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'd be very pleased with that. That was kind of the scoreline on the tip of my tongue as well. Look, I hope it's our day, to be honest. We should be a little bit lucky after the other night. I think if we do what we said earlier on, that we press early and maybe jag an early goal. Look, I think 2-1's probably a fair shout. It's one I'll go with as well. I'll match you on your 2-1. What have others said? Have we got some predictions in the posts? I think it was 3-3 just before.
Yeah. It came through a little bit early.
Toffee,
how are you, mate? Yeah, that'll be interesting. But I mean, look, I didn't think we'd fucking score 4 on Tuesday morning either. You know, especially what we conceded fucking 11 in the last 3 for nothing. But you know, they've only scored 4 for themselves since New Year's as well. So
I think 3-all sounds a little bit too entertaining for Moyes versus Dyche, to be quite honest.
Yeah. I think low block versus the low block.
yeah. After you, sir. No.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
Did you want to whiz through some comments, mate?
Yeah, I don't think we sort of covered most of them there.
Some couple of comments around the captain. We've got Coy here. I'll stick that one up. He's saying, I don't want to put more pressure on Bowen, but if it was inevitable, he'll become captain. Yeah, look, I've been anti that one for the pure reason that I do believe his job is to concentrate on his own game. I don't necessarily see a natural captain in him. You know, he's a passionate player and he plays with a lot of he's a tenacious player. I don't necessarily know if he's got captain qualities, but I really don't want to put that pressure on him and take anything away from his game. I think Coy's alluding to that himself there.
I tend to agree. I mean, I'll maybe ask you this: like, can you recall any fucking really, really good, outstanding captains from the front line though? Who play up front?
Alan Shearer, or are you talking about West Ham?
Oh, anyone really, but
Alan Shearer.
Shearer is he the exception to the rule?
Brooking, wasn't Brooking captain?
Yeah. There's a couple there. I don't know. Most of them, they tend to come from centre half or in midfield, really. Yeah. So, but it's all about the characteristics. One thing that hasn't come up a little bit, but I think someone did mention him earlier up in the comments is Ward-Prowse. Yeah, Fiddy put it up before.
Yeah,
what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely he could do that job. He's a funny old player, isn't he? I mean, he's been largely anonymous lately, I think, as a player. But he does have leadership qualities, and I think he has stepped in and taken the armband at one point or another. So look, definitely, maybe that is the long-term option for a while. He's certainly
Joe just sort of put those thoughts in. I was just about to say this, but he took words out of my mouth. You know, like he led Southampton for a long time, didn't he? So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, he would be a good choice.
Yeah. I mean, the thing sometimes I think with him that if you look at his Southampton games, like the majority of the time, he was playing forward to centre. Like he wasn't really that defensive midfield player. He's stunk it up when we've tried to play in those two holding midfield roles. So I think if he's played further forward and he's allowed to sort of get that little bit of creativity back into his game, he definitely always puts in somewhere around about that 7 out of 10, which is a characteristic that you definitely want from a captain, right?
Absolutely. Look, I think it's a very good point. He has led Southampton. Look, they were a struggling side. We struggle at times. Arguably, you can say, well, he didn't do much good because he ended up going down. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I think he's got leadership qualities, and I think he's probably is the obvious choice out of what's there at the minute.
But it's a good one. So we'll see where it goes. Hey, Alan's just put up an interesting comment here. That I didn't know this. So one thing he heard today was Everton haven't conceded a goal from ahead of this season, even though Souček played well on Monday night. But will he break through? Might be worth a couple of bucks. Yeah, fair point. Fair point. So what are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. He's not had a lot of goals lately. If we're saying that Everton have not conceded a goal from ahead of this season, that probably means they're pretty good at at defending it out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not quite seeing that link of a team that don't concede headers that we might be the first one to break that. Who knows? But yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
immediately excited at the prospect.
We're just not as deadly from those set pieces as we were when you had Dawson and Souček, running through. So, I mean, out of our centre halves, like we don't. I mean, Mavropanos has scored one this year. Maybe Agüero scored one, but it's like Dawson was popping up like every third, fourth game with a header somewhere, wasn't he?
Mate, I miss that bloke. A lot. I think, for someone that cost us a pittance, was supposed to be a fourth choice centre back. I think as a team we've missed him big time.
Yeah.
I think he was probably our first choice centre back at the time he left the club. I find it amazing that players can't stick out a few years of living in a location where their missus doesn't want to live. But anyway, I've had my say on that in the past. But look, but isn't it? It says a lot, doesn't it? When actually your best centre half was sort of a bit of an age journeyman. But you know what? He's proven to be Wolves' best player as well, and they love him up there now.
Yeah, he has. I mean, look, I've seen a few circumstances there where it looks like he's, been at fault for goals and stuff. But at the same time, like for his contributions the other way, I'd have him in over Zuma. I'd have him in over Agüero. Any day of the week, it'd be an interesting combination for him to come on with Mavropanos again or something like that. So. Yeah.
Look, I think Mavropanos is sort of turning into one of our better centre halves at the minute, and I think he seems to be the future, which is good, right? Because he's obviously Tim Steiden's man, and he hadn't had the best of starts in our colours. So sometimes it takes players a little while to settle, but he's looking like he's starting to,
Yeah, mate, he's a fucking big unit too, right? I mean, I don't know if you saw that moment in the game. He was just jogging alongside Ivan Toney, and he's not a small fella either, and he was fucking towering above him. So you can only imagine him in the box, like he should be quite commanding, and I wouldn't want to face up to him.
Interesting, a different perspective here from Ben H. It's over 3 comments, so it's a little bit difficult to put it all up. But it's why is everyone carrying on about Zuma? He's been good. Yeah, Matt, I can't agree with you on that. I thought he's certainly been good at parts of the season, but I think over the last 7 weeks, and look, arguably everyone's been off their game since Paquetá's been out of the side. But he's looked. I'm afraid for me, he's looked a liability. And he was responsible for Mopé's goal, as I mentioned. No, I don't think he is, mate. I think there's, everyone's entitled to his opinion, as we say, and he obviously sees Zuma's doing some stuff well, and I'm sure he is. But the problem is that it's when he does that brain fart stuff, like he did to let Mopé through the other day. That seems to be happening more and more, and I think people have been sort of alluding to his knees are gone. I think he's never had the best running style anyway, but he's looking less and less comfortable for me. But look, at the start of the season, I'd definitely agree with you, Ben. I think out of all our centre backs, he's the only one that had a ball out of a box. He's probably still the best at that particular attribute. But you put the ball at his feet, and you got the quick nippy strikers, and they kind of make him look a little bit silly of late. That's my take, anyway. But I'd say that's why everyone's carrying on about Zuma, Ben. To be honest, mate. But I'll take your point, mate. If you see it a different way, then fair enough.
Yeah, fair. I do agree. Like with your comments around like him heading the ball, and he did do some of that very well. I think from my take on the game on Tuesday morning, for us it was like the 2 people I noticed the most that were winning headers in the box was Zuma, and then Paquetá was probably the second one. So I'll give him that. But like you said, some of the stuff that he's doing off the ball, or like just those howling moments that led to the first goal, and then he he needs to be able to win those races, or get himself into a position where he can, stop, just hold the play up, so that someone else can come and join him. And I think that's the part of his game that it's just difficult, right? He can't do it.
Look, maybe he'll raise his game with Paquetá back in the side. It seems to have given a lot of other players a lift. So who knows? I think we'll have an opportunity to find out, because I don't think he is going to get dropped, to be honest. I think he seems to be number one on Moyes' team sheet, and we're talking about all the other potential captains. I think Zuma is the man with the armband at the moment, and he's probably one of the first on the score sheet, on the team sheet for Moyes. So look, let's hope you're right, Ben. Let's hope that he does all right.
Yeah, George, I think George, he summed it up pretty well there. How are you, George? Thanks for the comments, mate. He's got good intentions, but his knees are not.
Yeah,
very, very fair. Yeah, too true. All right.
So there's a few shouts in the comments for Alvarez as captain as well, and look, I think maybe long term that could be a thing. He's certainly one of our better players. The only slight comment I'll put in is he had another sort of pointless yellow card at the weekend, and I think Moyes has alluded to this a lot, that he's not happy with the number of yellow cards that he does pick up. Look, usually it's a mistimed attempt to win the ball, isn't it? And you can kind of forgive that, because you go, well, 9 times out of 10 he's winning those balls, and he's doing a great job. And his movement for me is special. The way that he comes in, joins that back line, covers off defenders that go forward. He does a really, really good job, and I actually think he's better. He's better than Declan Rice in that role. He's not quite as good as Declan was going forward and driving almost in that, but I think if he sticks around at West Ham, if he's there a second and a third season, definitely a shout for me. I think he's a really, really quality player.
But I think I think it was one of the European games he got forward and he banged his goal. Like, he's definitely got the capability to do it. But I would say that, I think the one part I reckon he lacks about his game that Rice had was that organisation and communication. So, and look, maybe that comes with him, being around the place for a little bit longer and having more of a presence in that role, and definitely more so if he keeps doing that role as one holding midfielder and not two. So, you never know. If someone said to me tomorrow that he was going to get made captain, I'd be like, fair enough. I think he deserves it with his action.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely. Interesting comment here. I'm going to put it to bed, though. Joe says Dinos and Agerd haven't played together. Actually, they have, mate. They were playing against Brentford when we were away, and a pair of them had an absolute fucking shocker. And there was a couple of games around that period where they did play together, and they were both sort of taking it in turns, making a critical mistake that led to a goal. Didn't really work for me. Doesn't mean it won't work again. I think Dinos is starting to find his feet and getting a lot more steady of late. So maybe that will be that calming influence maybe that Agerd needs to relax his game a little bit more. So I certainly wouldn't rule it out. For me at the minute, as we said already, Oggie's the man to come in for me against Everton. I don't think he will, though. I think it will be Zuma and Panos.
Well, I didn't really think that Mavropanos made any errors that I could really think of.
No, he didn't. He covered Zuma.
That was probably his best game, right?
He covered Zuma's arse.
Yeah.
Frank. He was everywhere.
Yeah. I think Alan's raised a good point here. It's like I like Mavropanos. I think he'll keep improving. You remember Winston Reid's first season under Gargantuan? I'm not sure who
He's talking.
I think he's got an autocorrect there. I think he means under Avram Grant, right?
Avram Grant,
yeah. He was all over the shop, but we all know the player that he turned into. So it's a fair point, and like you said, I think he just needs a little bit more time and a consistent run of games. I think so.
Yeah, mate, I've seen that with a lot of players. For me, we're going back a little while now. Ian Pearce, I think he had about 2 months of looking like absolute turd. He had a shocker for 2 months, and he turned into one of the most one of the best centre halves West Ham had around that era. apart from the obvious Ferdinand, etc. But you can always, players can always improve and find their feet at a club, especially when they're joining a new club. Look, Paquetá was a bit dodgy for 6 months for West Ham as well, right?
Yeah, he sure was.
Really came into his element in the final 4 or 5 months of last season. Look, some players hit the ground running. I think Kudus is one of those kind of players, you know, that give it the ball and if anything, he's sort of called off of late, and we want him to have that sort of second renaissance, which I think he's probably going to get with Paquetá coming back into the side. But yeah, look, I think Mavropanos is starting to look like a settled player, and one we can probably start to rely on now.
Yeah, I think Michael's put it well. Like him and again and Dean, they're front foot players, right? And the way we played against Brentford suits their style. And I tend to agree with that. But I mean, do you have balance when you've got both of those players wanting to play that role? You know, I mean, the age-old thing. Like if one's going forward, the other one has to sit. So
yeah, look, I mean, we talk about front foot players. Yeah, that's the style that we played against Brentford away. And we ended up on the 3-2 losing side, and I think they both made a mistake in that game. One of them, absolute howler. Again, the communication between Agerd and Areola was just non-existent. Remember that one? It was allowed to bounce. It was horrendous.
Oh that's right. Yeah.
Absolute fucking schoolboy of a goal. And then Mavropanos just completely didn't head one away in the second half. I think we've done it to death now. I think Dinos is definitely starting to settle in, and Agerd is a player that I like. I think he's had a few mistakes in him this season. I thought last season that he was a potential future captain. Maybe that sort of cooled off a little bit this season. But there's definitely the front foot players is about right. It's maybe the basic defending that maybe lets Agüero down at times.
The bread and butter stuff, isn't it? More than anything. So, all right, mate. We've been going nearly an hour now, but I think we've sort of covered most of the questions and stuff like that. So,
I think we're a bit positive at the moment. It's good to come off the back of a win, and we're kind of hoping that we might get 3 points at the weekend. And I'm sure Kingy will be hoping for 3 points. He's going to be there at the weekend.
Will be, yeah. So, any you see him up there, just look for the most stylish hairdresser in West Ham gear. I'm sure he'll be looking forward to a beer with a few of us. He's got our flag over there, so that'll probably be draped around him somewhere as well. So, but yeah, thanks for joining us in the chat. It's been fun. I enjoyed myself. It's nice to be in a good mood. And look, hopefully when we're back in the pub on Monday, we're still in a good mood from another 3 points, eh?
Yeah, cool. I'll echo that. Thanks everyone for coming and joining in. It's always a pleasure. And you made our job easy with your contributions today. So, one thing left to say, Nath?
Yeah, mate. Come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.
Thanks, guys.